Oh, hello there. You caught me reading some comic books on VeeFriends.com. I'm DJ Coffman, the creative director here at VeeFriends. It is a Thursday morning in 2025, October 23rd, 2025. I was just enjoying this, looking through this V is for Viking book. You can read all the comic books for free. This sick cover by Jim Mahfood. Beautiful artwork from Kate Comics. Beautiful coloring. You know, your past does not have to define your future. And every living being has within them the power to chart a new course if they so desire. You must fearlessly set sail into the unknown, embracing the calling to a new life, your true self. But changing your life won't come easy. There will be many challenges. And when things get rough, you must be resilient. You must hold fast. And it's hard to feel alone. And if you're lucky, you find friends to help you through the challenges. And sometimes they find you. Life always brings us new challenges, but one thing I know is the challenge brings the change. Welcome. Good morning. This is VeeFriends Comics Stream. I am DJ Coffman. I'm going to be drawing some comics, hanging out with you for 90 minutes or so. Hope you're being like that Viking. You know, I know so many people that are full of regret. Today, let's see what I'm working on today. Got a lot of stuff working on. I got a lot of surprise things I can't talk about, things I can show you. I'm working on issue 11. Got to really get cracking on that. The Sunday comics, I just finished up that Sunday comic yesterday. It looked, I went too far on this one. Let me see how much. This one took me a long time. Let me see how many hours I put in this one. 11 hours, 5 minutes. It's usually about 10 hours. You know, it turned out pretty good. I'm happy with it. I don't know if I'd do that level of detail again. I just was feeling motivated. Good morning, Keith. Good morning, Santa. Good morning, KC. What's up? Stay on. Wanted to say good morning before school. Have a good day at school. Learn things at school. I learned a lot at school. It says keyframe interval. What's that mean? Check your encoder settings. Recommended keyframe interval is 2. It's keyframe interval. Let me see something real quick. Keyframe interval is 2. I got it. Never mind. I'm not streaming live on TikTok today. I had too many problems yesterday. But if you're watching, follow us on these channels at VeeFriends Comics, please. I'm going to be diving into this. Hey, good morning, Santa Claus. 4 days in a row. It really is my birthday week. I know, 4 days. May asked me yesterday. She said, "DJ, are you live all the time now?" I'm like, "No, I'm not locking it in as a full thing." But oh, hey, before I get started here, let's crack open the first VeeFriends mini of the day. This is my pencil topper. You know, it's 8 a.m. Just getting started, warmed up. If you're new to VeeFriends, please email me at comics@VeeFriends and let me know that you're digging the vibes here. This comes directly to me and Gary. Gary Vaynerchuk. Well, I mean, I'll convey your kind words to Gary. Please don't send me like product pitches or, you know, come on. It's a nifty narwhal. Bubblegum. Smells like bubblegum. Don't eat it. But nifty narwhal. What a nice fella. We'll open some more of those in a little bit. Here's a motivated monster. Look at that little guy. The little paint details on this are nuts. Crazy. Even his little tiny teeth there. Totally nuts. Okay. So today I'm working on, I can't tell you what this is for. You'll see it far in the future probably. But I want to fix some stuff here, and I'm going to talk about that. But first, I just want to write in something. This is just something that's due, and I need to work on it, and that's just how it is. And I'm fine showing it to you. So this is a burn. This may not be canon. This is just something else. So what we're going to do here is this is part of the job. You know, it's not necessarily drawing, but I'll show you a little bit about how I do some of the lettering in the comic here, in the Burn Island. I wanted to say Burn Island. That's fine. Burn Island. Annual. It'll make sense in the future, trust me. You're watching now, your future self will go, oh, he was drawing that back then. What a treat. Keith missed this tale of yesterday's art. I forget the thing that I was drawing yesterday. I think I was drawing this thing for something. This was like maybe possibly something. Let's just keep it with that. I'm gonna move this down so you can't see that. Let's move that down. Some things I can't show. Nothing like crazy, you know. There's just some strategy stuff I can't let you see because it's not in the world. It's just ideas. Somebody one day said, "I saw something on your screen. Does that mean this and this?" I'm like, no. There's a lot of ideas. Competition. There we go. Surf competition. And we'll take that. I also want, well, we'll just take these and I'm just going to merge these guys. And then we're going to distort it. I can actually grab these and kind of, and I can make them be to any perspective I want, which is kind of cool. Little tricks to Procreate. You can even stretch it a little bit more. Let's really fill that out. That's fine. Why not? I'm just going to go ahead and draw my own. And then we'll have to do another little line of add text, grand prize. We'll shrink that, turn that, just get this placed. We're going to do some coloring today, but I want to fix Sweet Swan over here. I'm not too happy with that, so I'm going to fix that guy. And I'm hanging out here for 90 minutes talking. I can tell you that this has nothing to do with book games. I can tell you that. It's not a book games thing. It could be, but it's not. So I should have just left it in suspense because you might have thought, but you know, I don't want to get your hopes up. This has nothing to do with book games. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's okay. We have a lot of lingo inside of VeeFriends. By the way, VeeFriends, if you're new... Wow, that was my door slamming shut. Okay, cool. Not a ghost, it was just the wind. We have over VeeFriends 280 characters. You can read, watch, and collect at VeeFriends.com. We've got a great community. You can see here, this was VCon, some shots from VCon. There's the boys and the gals on the live streams. And we're telling the stories here at VeeFriends Comics. There's the Wizard Man. We've got super stickers. We've got comic books. We got some stuff with Rareable, with the VeeFriends NFTs and digital collectibles. It's now easier than ever to buy some NFTs. And someone was asking me yesterday, like, what's with the NFTs? And I'm like, well, it's hard for me to explain because I'm not in that world really deep. But I would say there's a lot of value, and it's the first collectibles, the best collectibles that you can have if you're collecting VeeFriends. And there's some nice perks to having an NFT with us. These awesome comic books that we've been putting out and that we're going to continue to put out forever and ever, hopefully. Yes. You get early access to these and a discount, I think 20% off. And so it's kind of like a old school coupon card to me, like those things that you would sell for your high school or something, to go like, I get 50% off ice cream cones, all the local businesses. We did a collaboration with Walmart at New York City Comic Con, dropping that issue. There's a lot to learn, but mainly on this stream we're talking about the comics, the stories, and you could read all of the stories for free at VeeFriends.com. Let's see what happens when we hit watch. I'll tell you something. 10:30. If you want to go to at VeeFriends Comics YouTube, this is the premiere happens in 7 days of this animated version of issue 5, Motivated Monster. So you could read the comic now, but you'll be able to watch the comic on 10:30. I would really love if you went in here and hit notify me and subscribe to our channel over here. But this premiere, we'll watch it live together on 10:30. Anyways, I'm just yammering about VeeFriends. A lot of you already know this stuff, but there's some new people joining in and out, so I want to make sure they're aware. We also have, if you hit the menu button on VeeFriends.com, you can hit view all characters, and we have all of those characters I talked about all the way through A through Z. We have no X's yet, but look at this. There's a worm from the dirt. It's tough to beat him, and we've got all these characters to read, watch, and collect at different levels. Sooner or later, all the stories will be told. Maybe not in my lifetime. Maybe not in Gary's lifetime. We're aware. We are aware. Okay, so let me talk about this. I'm not going to tell you what this is for, but I'm going to tell you that I'm not happy with this Sweet Swan, because my wife said it looks like a duck, and I was like, all right, let's fix this then. So I'm going to pull... No. I'm going to go back to the website real quick. I want to show you what I'm talking about. Sweet Swan is right over here. This was the original Sweet Swan. Well, this was the original Sweet Swan. This is Series 2 Sweet Swan, but you can see now on the website how we have these different styles. I was going with the manga style pretty much, this shape. But see how the neck isn't as long, which makes it look a little bit more like a duck. So I kind of want to do a mix between these two for this comic strip. I just want to elongate the neck a little bit. Make it look more like a swan and less like a duck. So to do that, I'm going to have to forget the inks that I just did. Yeah, let's just forget the inks I just did. And let's return on... No, not that. Bro. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay, let's not gonna lie, she's right. Does it walk like a duck? I know. The I didn't really realize I was working really fast. The manga version looks more like a duck. It's cute. It's cute as heck, but you know, I'm gonna fix this a little bit, just a little bit. Now I need to be looking at it, so I'm gonna just pull up side by side here the Sweet Swan, because I think there's maybe one where Sweet Swan is thinking. Oh, can't see that anymore. Wait, it's in media, I think. Media. there's so much more in here now. And then, yeah, I'm probably going to go with, you know, this much different. But the manga style was just cuter, and I just was like, oh, I like that. And that's what I grabbed first. But we gotta elongate this neck. So I'm gonna fix that right now. Just by probably let's just grab the head a little bit. I think we can, you know, squish it a little bit. Yeah. See what? So sometimes you don't have to do a whole redrawing. I can just kind of change a little bit what I drew. And let's be honest. I mean, a lot of the VeeFriends, you know, Gary's original drawings look more like the animals than the Series 2. I don't know what was going on with Series 2. I had nothing to do with that, but they look cute, but they're kind of our unique. You know, they're our unique looks. So it already looks more like a swan or a goose. Right? I think, I don't know. Like a little bit longer neck. Yeah, the difference is almost night and day with that. So most people think sweet as in cute, nice, sweet, loving. All that's true, but Gary one time said he's like, sweet, I mean like sweet, like 1980s, like that was sweet. And I was like, oh, okay. So surfboard, like kind of thing too. So in this situation, we needed something like that, and I'm already feeling a little bit better about this, actually. This one will be a little tricky to fix, but I might want to let's just play with it a little bit more, just to see, just a little bit longer neck, because I kind of want to, I try to look at what Gary drew, and try to dial it back a little bit closer to, yeah, I mean, that's even probably a little bit better, actually. Yeah, we're going to do that. And I'll just go back and adjust the other art, and that's just going to be how it is today. It won't take long. That's more like a swan than a duck. So let's try this. We'll fix this one right here real quick. And then we'll just do some re-inking, and, you know. Glad. Sometimes we're moving at such a fast pace. I think even with those manga stickers that, you know, we might have said like, oh wait, it looks a little more like a duck. So slow it down. Sometimes you got to slow it down and take a look. So shout out to my wife for being, hey man, that looks like a duck. And I'm like, you're right. Wait a minute. And I went back to the character, which is usually what I do. Even though I see these characters all the time, I gravitated towards this one, which isn't, there's nothing wrong with this. Shout out to Chris Faison on those. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But it looks, you know, that longer neck makes it more swanish, for sure. So this is kind of a mix between those two. I kind of like that. And he's like, going to adjust the eyes a little bit. What's up, Ryan? Plush Garden. Seeing History Made, 305 Comics, Miami. Yeah, right? We always say, you know, Gary says it, and I believe it too, that we're building this new thing right in everyone's faces. People don't even know. One of these days, it's going to be like, man, I saw that when that was happening live, and Gary was live, and I could have bought that David Mack cover for $10, or, you know, $50. No, it's worth this. That's already happening, by the way. That's for people who are like, I slept on that. Oh, man. I'm going to extend that neck a little bit longer. This is some deep work here that I'm doing, and I'm just talking through with you. Jay Franson said, because of you, I started putting the pencil toppers on my Apple Pencil while I draw. They're cute, right? That's what they're for. And honestly, on these streams, people go, where do I get those? And I'm like, there's a map on the website, vending.veefriends.com. Hey, now that we're talking about it, and I got you here. Yeah, let's turn around so you can see. Let's turn it around over here. I think we got a couple there. All right. And then we'll get. Let's pick from this one. I usually do two because sometimes it gives me the clear ones, and I don't want that. Nobody wants those clear ones. We want a pink one. So, you know what to do. Tell me pink or orange in the chat, and I'll open up and we'll try to beat the nifty narwhal. Try to knock him off this pencil. I'm looking for a detailed. I'm looking for a detailed. We're talking the ones that are like fully painted Mojo Mouse here. Motivated monster here. I like these detailed ones. We got pink, pink, pink. I'm looking at the chats. What do we got over on Instagram? Orange, orange. Ooh, man, we're neck and neck. Orange, orange, pink, orange, orange, orange. On YouTube, Shane, orange. Steve, orange. I think we're going orange. Wow. All right. Let's see what we got. Hopefully it's a humble hedgehog. It's my favorite. It is not. It is a passionate parrot versus bubblegum. They smell like bubblegum. Smell it. I'm going to say does not beat the nifty narwhal. No, you know what? Passion over niftiness today. Let's do it. All right. We'll set this timer for 15 minutes or so, and then we'll pull another one of those. Those are fun. I like that. It's my favorite thing to procrastinate and not draw things that I should know. Yeah, okay, so I pulled that neck up a little bit. I'm going to pull it up just even a little bit more. Just cause, you know. Let's just pull it up and tilt it. Now we can actually get a little bit more of the curve of a real swan's neck. Kind of, you know. Right? And then this one, you know, we're going from this to change it more into a shape between those two characters. Coffee is hot. Don't eat them. Ruthless Rob. He says, do they taste like bubble gum? They're also good for drumming on the old iPad. All right, let's fix this panel. I think what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to like shrink. Oh, let's keep it uniform first. I'll shrink his whole body down. Because I do like the pose. But I don't like the head being so staunch. So we're going to just grab that, pull that up, tilt it. I'm going to be even able to move this balloon out of the way. That'll be fine. Oh yeah. Yeah, so if you're just joining, what I'm doing is I just changed this to look more like a swan than a duck. If that makes sense. And then I'm going to have to go back and just re-ink just a little bit of these. Just a little bit. Kind of want to keep the old inks. I think I'm going to do that just because I can show this in the future maybe. But we can now take... Let's just... I might be able to match up these inks here. This is normally what I would call some deep work. I don't know if it's interesting to watch or not, but at least you're, hanging out. Having a chill moment in the morning before work or whatever you're doing. Or some people are getting up at like 4 in the morning to watch this because I'm East Coast time. Appreciate you doing that. Just gonna match up what I had inked. And then that's fun. That's fun to mess with. Then I'm just gonna go ahead and erase the head. That's what I'm gonna do. We're just gonna erase that part. Forget that ever existed. And now we're gonna make it more of a swan. Let's just erase all these lines and we'll redo that too. And then we'll just have to ink these heads up. And then maybe we'll do some coloring. And then maybe we'll, Cuban coffee needs to enter VeeFriends circle. They go lightning speed. I don't know what that means, but I like Cuban coffee. It's very sweet, right? Is that right? Very sweet. Sweet swan. Again, I think Gary, in his mind, he was like, sweet is like, man, that's freaking sweet. So, cappuccino. Yeah, I had a coworker, shout out to Jay Fern, Jonathan Fern, Cuban dude from Miami that worked for me a long time ago in another universe. And he would bring in, he would make Cuban coffee all the time. A little too sweet, but if you needed like a nice zoom, it was good. Hey, what's going on? Morning, K-Save, and good morning, Alex. Because of you, I read. Wait. Well, hopefully because of school taught you to read. There's an interesting thing because you can read and watch the comics when they come out. Now, we would like it, I think I'm glad this last time because some people skipped reading the comics before, like actually reading the comics on the website. The pacing of comics is an art form because you're in it and your mind does things differently than just it being. Animation is spoon feeding it to you, which is cool. It looks cool. It's easier. But when you're reading a comic book, it does something different. So I challenge you to go read more comics. Honestly. Read more comics. Craig says this is the place to be, not IG. Yeah, IG's a little bit, man. I'm live on basically Facebook, IG. I'm not live on TikTok today. Too many problems yesterday with TikTok. I didn't like it. Made me grumpy. But yeah, the reading of a comic book is just interesting. The pacing through it. Because you take time to absorb it. It doesn't take long to read a comic, but when you're going through, look at this. This is the Shimmer. 1 of 299. Well, this is a proof copy, but when you're Let me zoom out a little bit. Zoom. There's the page turn thing too that happens in comic books, which is an art to that. Even the composition of the page that guides your eyes through, and you can see the little ninjas back here jumping on the buildings. Like there's an art to the composition of comic books, because comic books are the greatest storytelling medium in all of human history. It really brings you in as a reader. When you turn that page, there's an art there. See, like you're turning it. The first thing you're gonna see is, oh my god, oh, that thing is collapsing. But now you're over on this page and you're like, wait, this building is falling apart. They're in it. Oh my god, he's cut his arm off. What in the? This is the end of you, notorious ninja. And then the cool reveal is like, when you go like, boom, it's my turn, right? 3 years later, Southern California, 1990. Going from that color palette of the past, and then boom, now you're in the future, but you're also in the past. And the color palette changes, and you're like, ooh, whoa. And then like, zoom. Now look at how she put the composition. It makes your eyes go, right? And it's moving in your mind as well. If you read Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud, which is always on my shelf over there, your mind does stuff timing-wise between the gutters. So you can take as long as you want. You might even see him wiping out more. We want to bring you, the reader, into the comic book. That's the magic of panel-to-panel sequential art comic books, the greatest form of storytelling in all of human history, from cave paintings to everything. Like a movie. Movies are just so. I love movies. I love cinema. There's an art to composition and stuff that all starts on the page. Shout out to comics. I love you, comics. There's a quote out there that says, "Comics will break your heart" by Jack Kirby. It's neither here nor there that he actually said that. He might not have said it in that context, like telling a kid that comics would break their heart, because it's a hard, it can be a hard life if you choose it. I don't think that was actually said that way. I'll go the opposite and say, yeah, comics are hard. It's a hard job to get. It's a hard business to be in. But I love comics. I think comics have the power to heal. Comics have the power to make people cry and think and feel, and comics are just the most powerful storytelling medium in the world. And it only takes a small team of people, sometimes even one woman, one man armies, and not as much time. I think issue 8 that's coming out took Chris Faison 5 weeks to do it, which is incredible. When you see it, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I can't tell you which one it is because it's special. But a lot of people will be happy about that one. We were really jazzed about Monster, which is kind of the first mature one that we've done. But yeah. There you go. Clemhouse said the sad part is the amount of stories that haven't been told. Thanks for putting out these books. That's right. There's a lot of people that think just because they can't make money at comics, they go, they got a lot of good stories. You should use the internet. You should use web comics and get your stories out there and get those stories out of your head. You don't want to be 80 years old going, man, I wish I would have launched a comic. My gosh. You could build your own fan base very quickly. Your stories have to be good. You can't suck. But, that goes without saying. But here we are. This is the future of comics right now. I'm not the best artist in the world, but I'm hanging out with you. I know your names. Keith, Shane, Clem, Keith over here, 305 Comics. Feud is Fuel. I know Feud is Fuel is Ryan. I got a sketch cover over here for Ryan that I got to draw. Gabrielle. I was at a card show and the VeeFriend collector asked me to make some VeeFriend sketch cards. I know. Artists are getting asked to draw VeeFriends now. All the time. At shows. The sketch card artists can't even believe it. Because, sketch card art is a grind. I don't know if you guys knew that or not. But the companies don't really pay that great for sketch cards. Upper Deck, Tops. You're talking the artists get paid probably $4, $5 a card. Think about that. For Star Wars and Spider-Man and things like that, that license, because it gets licensed, they have the sketch card artists do that. I used to do it, so I know. But they do it because they get commissions on the back end. They used to get artist proofs, and they don't offer artist proofs anymore. But some of these sketch card artists that got on they're like, VeeFriends, what the heck is this? I guess I'll do it. And then suddenly we had one guy say, what the heck? All of my prints on my Etsy store vanished because we've got such a passionate collector base who, by the way, also want to support artists. I'm seeing some names in the chat right now that I know for a fact will buy different David Mack art prints. Maybe already have. He's done some work for Daredevil and Fight Club and all kinds of stuff, and his art is beautiful. And you just discover new artists through VeeFriends, which you didn't know existed before because you're not in the comic book world. And then suddenly you're like, I gotta own a Jay Lee original, or Jim Mahfood. These guys are cool, man. It's exciting. It's exciting times for that stuff. That's the alarm to give away, or to not give away. We're not giving away anything. I'm already feeling better about this looking like a swan more than a duck. Yeah, for sure. Now that I'm looking at this, good move. What's up, Anthony? How's it going? So yeah, if you're gonna want someone that's so super passionate about comics as an art form and all that, you're in the right place. Because I'm gonna yammer about it for years. But we got some firepower behind the scenes as well. We got Jim Rugg on the team. I think the blog comes out today just announcing him as more than just a producer of comics. He's working on a couple issues, but he's written a couple issues. We're working with a couple different freelancers on issues. I can't say what those issues are yet, but he is an award-winning powerhouse, my old friend for 30 years. He introduced me the other day to somebody. We were talking to one of the greatest editors in comic history yesterday. I'm not going to name drop, but one of the greatest editors in human history, and what a joy it was to talk to her. But he introduced me as his longest running friend in comic books, and I was like, wow, that's cool. I mean, I knew him before he was even doing. He was just kind of thinking about a career or making a go at comics, He was still in high school. I love that. We both come from the same small little town, Connellsville, in Pennsylvania. Shout out Connellsville? I don't know. Your mileage may vary with Connellsville. Love you, Connellsville. Love small towns. I'm one town over. I'm just south of Pittsburgh, PA. I won't say the city I'm in. That's an interesting fact. They say, and I don't know where you're living right now in your life, but no matter, I've traveled far and wide. I've lived in Southern California. I've lived different places. But they say that you end up moving back. The majority of people live within a 50-mile radius of where they were born. Is that true? Say that's true in the chat if you're listening. Most people end up coming back to a 50-mile radius of where they were born, or they think about it. If you've moved away, you're like, I want to move back to where I was from. And I'm like, gosh darn it, I tried to get away and I came back, and I'm just in this area, whether it's because of family or... It's so weird. It's so weird. I mean, I moved away. I lived in Southern California for 10 years, and I came back. I literally live in the same town. I think I was kind of born in a borough that was next to this borough, but wow, so weird. I'm definitely within 10 miles. No, I'm within like 6 miles. No, not even that. Maybe 5 miles of the hospital that I was born in. And I'm like, God, what is that tether? It's weird. Life is weird, man. And there's nothing special. You know, there's nothing special about it. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good about that now. He looks more like a swan, and now we're going to just do some coloring real quick on this. I think that's good. It's only been a couple minutes to fix that up. To do that, I'm going to grab my... You know what? I'm going to go in here, too. Let's just fix this one, too. Let's fix this one. Boy, this is tough. This will be a tougher one to fit. No, maybe not. Let's just try it. Let's just try it. We better fix it now. I gotta fix it now if I'm gonna fix it, because we gotta go to production and some stuff. I'm gonna turn off the colors. I'm gonna turn on the, yeah. Bump up the pencils. Turn off the inks again. And now we're stuck with that. I'm gonna go back to the pencils. Yeah, I gotta fix this. Good opportunity there. Sometimes things, like I said, I think we're in a world that moves really fast, especially at VeeFriends. And sometimes the deadlines are very tight, and like this needs done now. And things get, you know, not overlooked, but just rushed a little bit sometimes. And we just need to slow down and take a look at that. No one stopped it and said, wait a minute, that doesn't look like exactly like a swan. It looks more like a duck. And then when my wife said it, I was like, oh, you're right. And then I looked at the originals and I was like, whoa, even Gary, when we go back to Gary's drawing there, it's totally swanned out. You know what I mean? Like, he's got the swan down. Like, you know. People will make fun of Gary's drawings, and I don't like that. I don't like it. Don't do it. Don't make fun of Gary's drawings. Don't make fun of anybody's drawings, because I'm telling you what, people have different skill levels of drawing. But look here. Gary did a better job of drawing a swan than I think even this and this. Like, he captured swan more than those did. So, hey, whatever. Let me see you draw a swan. Let's go. Let's still have a swan off. But yeah. Especially when I first started at VeeFriends, I was real like, wow, some of these animals don't really look like the color schemes are not like what I would picture, which I think is kind of cool to a certain degree. Oh yeah, that's way better. I'm gonna tilt his neck. I'm gonna like try to I think it's maybe even funny if like it's like more, even more bet. Let's do that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. That's why I married my wife. She's definitely my wife and I love her, but she's also a partner in all this. She likes to, you know, she's it's always great to have a person that like that. Sometimes I think she's afraid to tell me things. Not really. She's not afraid to tell me things. Shout out, Alicia. I've totally gotten better at taking her advice, like, because usually I'm like, rah, rah, I'm grumpy about stuff, No, I'll do it my way. I know what, and then I'm like, she was right. That's the lesson in life, guys. The wife is always right. No, that's not true. That's not true. Depends on the relationship that you're in. Let's move along. Let's move along. But yeah, I run that drawing club too. I run the Draw or Die Club. Shout out the Draw or Die Club. It's Promptober. I have not promoted this at all. If you're in it, you're in it. But Draw or Die Club, we do the Promptober Drawing Challenge. There's a lot of people rocking out the... It's not too late. It's not too late. There's a couple people in the VeeFriends community, by the way, that are... but this Promptober Drawing Challenge, you can draw any of these. Get the details at promptober.com. Anyways, you can draw, because some people ask all the time in the chat. I feel bad not mentioning it. I'm not trying to promote my own. This is just a very motivational club for artists. I think we're underwater in this one. We've got prizes that we give out at the end. So every single drawing that you do, even if you drew all 31 right now, before the 6th, I think you have until November 6th to enter your art. Each one of these is a ticket towards a art prize. We've got some great art prizes. So it's just motivation to, hey, you might win a set of Posca markers. The prizes are over there on the website. And we had a lot of So I feel so look at this, Gratitude Gorilla here. I'm so grateful to have those. Like, I don't get paid to do that. But great brands like Field Notes and Blackwing all donate prizes to artists for that every year. We're in the 4th year doing that, and I am pretty proud of that. I don't talk about it on these VeeFriends streams much, but I know that there's some of you in here that are doing it, and I really appreciate you drawing every day. Not like scratch off tickets, but more like you draw a picture, you post it, or put it in the Discord, and at the end there's a form that you fill out, and you say, I drew 5 drawings. I would like to put 1 ticket in for each of these things. That's about it. That's kind of how that works. I can't find my... There we go, that's better. Yeah, I think the deadline is... go to promptober.com. I don't know the dates off the top of my head. I'm not here to promote that. But if you want to draw every day, or if you want to catch up, there's people that caught up. There's people that you don't have to do all 31 drawings. You can just do 2. Pick and choose whichever ones you want if you want to get in there for some prizes. And we've got the Daily Drawing Club too. I just don't promote it. It's not really like a business. If anything, it's more like a nonprofit that we just haven't made into a nonprofit yet. I just haven't had time. And it's there to encourage people to draw. It's there to encourage artists that stop drawing to start drawing again, because when you don't draw, you feel dead inside when you don't create. And that's probably even a broader statement. So even if you're not an artist, you probably feel a little bit dead inside when you're not writing, when you're not playing sports, when you're not doing that thing that you love. You should probably get back to it, because guess what? Tick, tick, tick. Tick tock. Tick tock. Yeah, I'm glad I changed the swan, man. I feel way better about this. Especially for those swan collectors out there. We've got people that collect sweet swan. I want to make sure that it's, you know, on point. Yeah, that's way better, actually. So now I could probably just turn on the colors. And we can erase this part. Oh. I'm going to do this strategically. I know this isn't comic books the last couple days, but I've just committed myself. I didn't schedule it just in case something came up. But, you know, I've been live every day this week at 8 a.m. I'm glad that I did it. It's hard some mornings because, you know, I want to jump into there's a lot of things going on. And I'm like, man, I should just jump into doing this thing. But getting these lines in the morning and just kind of smoothing out. Good morning, F you. You know, yes, shout out to the community out there, the VeeFriends community, which I think, in my world of being involved in many communities over many years, from tiki fans to ukuleles to all kinds of different things, nonprofits, music. I've been involved in a lot of communities, comic books. Let's not even go there. That VeeFriends community is just the best, the most positive people. I like whenever we're saying, like, a lot of people feel alone out there. You know, they feel kind of like their family's not supporting them, or their friends don't get their passions. And you won't find that at VeeFriends. People will be very supportive of whatever you're working on or doing, or, you know, it's a motivated crew. You'll make some of the best friends, maybe for your life, in the VeeFriends community if you get involved. And you don't have to buy anything to get involved in the community. Gary will tell you that too. You could just watch the content, like the streams, you know, just get involved with reading the comics for free. It doesn't cost a dime. We don't want you to spend money that you don't have. We know times are tight for a lot of people. But I just talked to someone about that. They said, I can't afford your comics. And I'm like, that's okay. I want to support you, but I can't afford your comics. And I said, that's okay. You don't have to buy anything. You can just like a stream, tell someone else about VeeFriends, share a post, make some fan art. You know, there's a million other ways you can support. I should make a checklist of that. Yeah, Clem brought up amazing how the community came together for the Kids Mental Health Foundation. You can look up that post on our social media, on VeeFriends social media. There's some facts about how much money we raise for Kids Mental Health Foundation. I really think that there's probably some more we can do there, charity-wise. But I would let Gary steer that ship. All right, this is looking so much, guys. I'm so glad that I freaking fixed this. Boy, oh boy. I'm going to just go ahead and clip him out for something. Copy all. You can't see what I'm going to do right now, but I'm going to open up something else on my other screen. Morning, everybody. Let's take a little break and turn it around. Grab a season 1. Boop, boop. Orange versus pink again. Okay. Orange versus pink in the chat again. Orange versus pink. We got a season 1 versus a season 3. Season 1, season 3. Orange or pink in the chat. Might do it a little bit different this time. Maybe the first thing I see, I'm going to open. First thing I see, I'm going to open. Orange. Season 1. The quality of these, orange. Okay, orange. You agree. The quality of the VeeFriends minis went up immensely from season 1 to season 4, and now I've seen the seasons 5 and 6. They're pretty crazy, man. What do we got here? We've got a lava slaying slug. Does not beat the passionate parrot, I don't believe. Sorry, slaying slug. You go right there. You go right there. I should clean up. Oh, with all this streaming, I got a lot of stuff here. Now, clean this up a little bit. Okay. Zoop. Copy all. And I gotta open up something that you can't see. But I'm gonna do it anyways. Oh, is he in there? Oh, that's great. So good. See, I'm like actually putting him into Photoshop here. And then we gotta copy him again. Now I can just go quick export. Yeah. So I'm just doing a little bit of actual work here. Export as. No. Quick export PNG. That's what we want to do. We call it Swan 2. Better Swan. Not a duck. Sweet Swan. His little body, it just was like his head was like, boop, like squished. So, can't have that. Okay. Great. We might as well just, now that I got these colors here, let's just grab these guys, copy all. Back into this, and we'll paste them in here because, you know, I just want to get the, let's do a little small. And then make sure that they're above everything here. And then I'm just going to go around and color this one up. Wait, let's do the white's easy. That's pretty easy. We're going to set this to reference layer. Nope. Shoot. Reference layer. We're going to go down to colors 1, and then I'm just going to go around and hit. We got to turn off these pencils. Turn them all off. And let's just hit the all the white. I must not have closed the line here. That's a pain in the butt sometimes. Where did I not close it right there? sure all these lines are closed. Just a real quick scan. Okay, great. Looks good. Go back to my color layer. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for spending your time a little bit in the morning. It's been a little crazy this week. I hope you have a good day, whatever you're off to do, work. A lot of people are going to work. We got a lot of stay-at-home moms. We got a lot of stay-at-home dads. So hopefully you get some time. I understand. Boy, I've got like all these chapters in my life where I was just, I worked at home when I did comics full time for 13 years, but I had 3 little ones. So it was quite a, chapter. Raising kids, making comics. I know the challenges of parents. I've had kids where you had to have after-school activities. Even right now, my stepson now, Henry, he's in a band. They just finished up their season, but boy, that's a lot of work they put in, those kids. And those long days. They go to school, they come home, they go right back to band, and they stay out till 8:30 at night practicing their band stuff. And then his band came in 4th, and he was really mad. He was like, oh, he's just like very frustrated because he's like working so hard, but can't always win. But I like that he's determined to be the best. You just can't let that crash. No matter what you're doing, whether you're like, man, I want to do something, and then you just doesn't work out, and then you got to keep it going. To that point, I've had a lot of people asking lately, especially, can I write for VeeFriends? Can I draw for VeeFriends? Can I work for you? And how do I break into comics? That's been a big conversation. And I would just say, the answer is probably no. Just because we're pretty staffed. But I would also say, if you want to break into comics, you got to go make comics. You don't have to do it for 30 years like I did. You could just start making comics, have something to show, understand storytelling, and there's a lot to do. I'm not a teacher of that stuff, so it's hard for me I can point you in the right direction, and the right direction is just start doing it. If you're like, well, I want to write, then go take a writing course, or you don't even have to pay for a writing course. You can do so much stuff for free on YouTube. It's probably the best advice I have. Just do it. There's no shortcuts. There's no ladder to the top. Sometimes even when you're in this business, there's things you want to do compared to things that need done. What's the mission? What's the assignment? You can't always do exactly what, even myself, there's ideas that I've had where I might say, hey Gary, why don't we try this? Or I'd be like really into an idea. Hey, what if XYZ? And then Gary'd say, nah, I don't think so. But I didn't get all hurt over it. I was like, all right. Younger people, maybe even myself at like age 25, I might have been like, he doesn't see my genius, or or like, oh, I know better than everything. There's a lot of adults like that as well that think like, but when you're working for someone else, as Gary has said, someone said, I forget who said, if you're paying for the dance, you get to pick the tunes. So you got to know that going in. If you work for Marvel, or if you're working for a writer or a different thing, they get to decide, and you're just the muscle, you know. But to that said, boy, Gary is very generous with allowing us to really play and have some fun with these characters in so many ways. It's hard for me to say no to people, or to say I can't read your stuff when people send things, because we just legally can't, you know, like we shouldn't. There's a lot of unsolicited story ideas. We just can't take it. As a matter of fact, I think it could be even that when you give us an idea, it almost guarantees that we won't do it if we've read it. That's just the nature of that beast, unfortunately. So I get a lot of people telling me, can I read their books, or can I read the pitch for a VeeFriends script? And I'm like, I can't. But I'll read something else that you've done, maybe, but my time's pretty limited too. So I really try my best to give as much time as I can, but it's a challenge. Definitely a challenge. Okay. This will be so good to get done today. And then I'm going to be on comic book page city for a couple weeks. For sure. It's going to be nothing but comic book pages on this stream pretty soon. So if you want the alpha, maybe, I guess, sort of, you'll hang out the stream. What's that little line there? Look at this little orange. Where are you? Where are you hiding? It's not that layer. Is it this layer? Whoa, it's the caption layer. What? Got it. We got it. Yeah, people don't have. Hello V says people, you know, have to have a little tough skin. Yeah. I wish more people understood that. There's a lot of entitlement right now. Things always seem more easy, or that there's an elevator to the top. There's not. There's not. You gotta just have the tenacity and the willfulness, the willpower and willfulness. These might get no a million times. One of my favorite stories. I don't have his art handy anywhere here. Maybe up there. Let's take a look. Oh, I can't show that. Never mind. Oh, I should even take that thing down. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna take that down. I can't show this wall. Never mind. Never mind, everybody. Moving on. One of my favorite stories is Todd McFarlane, how he broke into comics, and it was that he kept sending his. This is before the internet, all that stuff, right? So he had to go through the mail to submit his samples, and he found a list of editors for comic books, And every single week, he sent them pages after pages of samples. And what he would do is, I think, if I got this correct, he would take the books that just came out that week or whatever, the new books, and he would redraw the scenes. He would redraw the pages in his style and say, like, here's how, he wouldn't say, like, here's how I would have done it. Maybe he did. But he would just boom, 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 boom. And they were like, this kid won't stop. They sent him rejection letters. He's got a folder full of rejection letters. And he wouldn't stop. He was just in their face constantly, giving more, more, and more. And finally, yeah, Todd McFarlane, you're a determined dolphin. Finally, one day, in the middle of it, the editor was like, oh, we're in a pinch. This artist is either sick or something. And they're like, he's like, I got a guy. So they gave Todd McFarlane a gig, like an 8-page gig or something. I don't know. They gave him like a small job. I don't know what the exact detail was there, but and that's how Todd McFarlane got his first jobs in comics. But he had somewhere listed the amount of stuff that he drew for that, and it was like an incredible, like 600 packages that he sent before he got a job, and he would just do it. It was his job to do that for a while. Work his regular job and then work on his samples and mail so many per week and track that data and forget the rejection letters. Many artists keep those rejection letters because it's kind of like you're paying your dues, There's something to that. There's something really romantic about that too. People that have done that and put that work in. I think that's why Gary really liked me, to be honest, was my attitude and he knew I'd like, wow, I know the opportunity that I've got right now in front of me. He knows I'm not going to mess it up. He knows that I know him and the vibe of VeeFriends, and I'm a professional. I'm not going to say some dumb thing on a stream, I might accidentally say some dumb thing on a stream, but he knows that, like, I was a good fit for the brand. So, because I've been through it. He actually said, not to get too personal, but like some of my life stuff, he was like, this makes you a better storyteller that you've actually gone through some stuff. And I was like, you are absolutely right. I can actually relate to a lot more good things and bad things, and how do we get through things. I think it makes you a better storyteller if you don't give up. A lot of people just give up. Yeah, but that's my favorite story of comic books. Hell, there's other stories like that, but Todd McFarlane's story is just pretty incredible. I'd like to hear him talk about it again. I'd like to ask him live again and say, like, reiterate that story. Like, how much tenacity did you have? And that always kind of drove me. A lot of people didn't like his art because, like, a lot of times cartoonists are faking it till they make it. Like, they're not trying to be perfectly anatomical. And that's the beauty of comics, is really that you can simplify things down to shapes and forms and exaggerate stuff and work in different styles. And he had an interview once where he said, an old Wizard magazine, and he said, and I remember reading this and going, whoa, I was probably 16 or something, and there's this Hulk cover that he drew. Maybe it wasn't Wizard magazine, it might have been like Hero magazine or something, I don't remember. It was when he was on Hulk. He drew this Hulk cover with all these bricks, and he's like, the trick to making it, well, like, why is your work so dynamic? He's like, I just draw a F ton of bricks. He's like, when Hulk's jumping through a wall, there better not be like 3 bricks. I'm gonna draw 1,000 bricks being smashed to pieces, and it makes you not notice the the imperfections of the anatomy or whatever. You're just like, wow, the energy of this page is what's standing out. That always stuck with me in my mind. Too many other artists, and myself included, maybe took that too far, where they just thought they would just use it as a mask to put more etchings on the page, more lines, and then it gets confusing. But the older you get as a creator, as an artist, comic artist, the more you want to simplify and realize that things are shapes and forms, and there's more to it. There's composition. There's a lot more to comic book page reading, like I just showed with that ninja book earlier. There's a lot more to it than meets the eye, like Transformers. Yeah, there's that story too. Hotkey Break said Todd wanted to draw the original Spider-Man instead of that black suit, and that's how Venom came to be, because he was like, all right, if I gotta draw the black suit, I'm just gonna make it into a cooler thing. And he went wild. Boy, he got in so much, not trouble, but like the editors at the time would tell Todd, don't, what's with this spider web or spaghetti looking webbing? Stop that. And then when they would tell him to stop it, he would do more of it. Like, oh, you don't like that spaghetti webbing? And then the next page is it, and it'd be like, God darn it, Todd. But the fans ate it up, man. The sales were big, you know. Marvel didn't know what they had. That's, corporate comics. Didn't understand. Don't know what you got till it's gone. For those listening that don't know what I'm talking about, back in the 90s, all the top comic artists like Todd McFarlane and Rob Liefeld, who we just had dinner with, and they all left Marvel and said, we're going to launch our own thing. Creator owned Image Comics. It was a big deal in the 90s. It was still a big deal. It's like one of the monumentous things that happened in modern comics, was those guys putting their foot in the ground and saying, we're going to go do our own thing. And it might have changed comics forever for the better. And they're still out there, Todd McFarlane. Unfortunately, as a fan, he doesn't draw much comic books anymore. He doesn't really get down in the dirt like he used to. But he doesn't have to. He owns Todd McFarlane Toys, and he's real passionate about toys. McFarlane Toys are some of the best toys. One of my dreams is to have McFarlane Toys do VeeFriends Toys. Wouldn't that be cool? Todd, if you're listening, let's get you talking with Gary. We need some McFarlane. Who wants McFarlane Toys VeeFriends? I do. Something disconnected here. Jim Lee was part of it as well, right? Yeah, Jim Lee was part of it. It was actually Rob Liefeld that I give him. It was there's a beef between Liefeld and Rob as to who decided, but Todd was saying we should do our own thing, and then Liefeld was really the first one to leave, and then they talked everybody else into it. Couple people, I forget their names, didn't leave because they were just afraid that maybe that would be it for them, and so they didn't leave. Isn't that funny? They stayed on, which it was not. There was no guarantee that any of that would work, or that they might get blackballed from their industry. We don't want to work with these artists again. I believe I heard that Marvel back then used to stop promoting the artists as much because they're like, we don't want to let this happen again. If they say we made Todd McFarlane into a star, and then he left. Potentially true, but they should have learned to have less control and let the artists, kind of do their thing. Would have been a better move, but nobody can go back and change anything in comic books these days. These are pretty groovy. He's gonna be on like the beach, so we need like, let's just isolate this. 9:27. We're almost at 90 minutes. That's crazy how fast this goes by. You read collectibles. I love the wealth of stories you have in the industry. It's a real pleasure to hear them from you. I can't say that I'm getting all my facts correct. I could be a little bit off on some of those stories, but I'm pretty sure. At least that's how I'm remembering a lot of the stories that I've been told or read. Some stories cannot be told. They're too wild. I did tell... So, I'm just going to say it right now. This is a fun little recap. Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, who is kind of an iconoclast in comics. He's kind of real, like, he did a lot of stuff. He doesn't get a lot of respect in the comic book world now, as much as he probably should, or at least a lot of people feel that way. I wasn't a huge fan because I always didn't like there was always like kind of a negative vibe, like always like a fighting, which I wish that Rob would, not fight as much. But I understand. He's allowed to have that chip on his shoulder. He did a lot for comic books, and comic books didn't really give him back. And that's the nature of the comic book beast. Anyways, so Rob Liefeld, behind the scenes, we were having that party in New York for like a dinner party, and Gary wanted to talk to like the biggest movers and shakers. And, I had him on a list. I was like, these are the big names in comics. If we can get you to talk to some of these people. And Gary knows the story that I'm about to tell you. So my history with Rob Liefeld was that when I was 16, by a lot of happenstance, I got invited to Extreme Studios, which was the Image Comics building in Anaheim, from an inker named Danny Mickey. Long story short, I would ditch school and go up there because that was at the time of the 90s where everybody was breaking into comics. And I was like, I want to be that. Now, my art was never ready for anything primetime. But there was so many young people breaking in, and that's what they did. They would go and be a part of it. And I had heard through the grapevine that, if you were in there, maybe they would give you some assistant jobs or whatever, or like, I thought maybe this is it. I'm going to drop out of high school and just go be a comic book artist. I got to meet Todd McFarlane for the first time on one of those trips, which was cool. And so anyways, one day in the Image Studios offices, or Extreme Studios offices, we're in there hanging out in Danny Mickey's office, and they're doing a big photo shoot for Bad Rock. And this is before the internet, so there was no photos or whatever. But Rob Liefeld comes in. His first time he was there in the office when I was there, and he sees me and my friend, and he yells, and he's like, get these kids out of here. What is going on? Like, he was just so mean, and he was so like, it was pretty mean. It was definitely like, get these fucking kids out of here. And I was just like, wow, like, don't meet your heroes kind of feeling. And so that really set me on a course when I was young to be like, screw that guy. Rob Liefeld's a jerk. And like, there's a lot of people that said that. And so there's like that, anti-Rob Liefeld thing out there. And that's, the thing. So now, it's years and years and years later, I'm 49 years old. I have a lot of respect for Rob now because listening to his podcast, and he knows my homies, Jim Rugg, and my other friend Ed that ran Cartoonist Kayfabe. I heard him on their show a lot, and I was like, wow, he has a real love and depth of comics like I do. And maybe I was just immature. So, cut to future. Gary says, "Are you good? Rob Liefeld come to this meeting?" And I said, "Yeah, It's fine. But I debated even telling that story to Rob because I know he wouldn't remember. That was a nothing time. But I did. I was like at the cocktail party. I went up to Rob and I said, "Hey, I got a funny story for you." And we're also connected in a weird way because my Hero by Night book is with Platinum Studios, and he does a lot of work with Platinum Studios. So we both know Scott Rosenberg, and we're kind of intertwined. We're quantumly entangled somehow, which is strange. But anyways, I went up to Rob and I said, "Hey, a funny story." And I told him the story. And he goes, "Oh, I think he's probably always ready for someone to come up and give him a story that's like, this is why I didn't like you," which makes me sad. But he goes, "Well, you got to understand, back in those days, there was so many kids or so many people coming in and out of that office, and portfolios would go missing, and things would get stolen." And I was like, "Oh, by the way, I totally understand that now, because I know from the VeeFriends offices or people that hang around VeeFriends, I wonder, I'm like, oh my God, who's letting all these, how did, there's so much access at some points." And he's like, "So I just, it wasn't anything personal." I'm like, no, it's fine. I just thought it was a funny, here we are, years later, look at us, we're in the same room. And so I sat next to dinner, and it was a great conversation, and I have a lot of respect for Rob, and boy, a lot of what he's saying is true about the comic book industry, and it lacks leadership. And I don't know. No, someone said, "Will we do work with Rob?" I don't know. I'd love to. I just love people that love comics as much as I do, and Rob is definitely one of them. And shout out to Mr. Liefeld. What a wonderful wife and family he's got. But yeah, you hear me on these streams, I'm really passionate about comic books, man. So, this is what it is. I really align with anybody else that is really passionate about, I don't want to say saving comics, but like the growth of comics across the board. How can we elevate it? It's running all of Hollywood right now. Let's be true. Let's be honest. Like, they still, pick and choose what they want out of the fold. So it's made Hollywood more money than anything. It's maybe saved Hollywood, to be honest with you. The blog, even though people in Hollywood are down on superhero movies. So many actors said, like, "I'll never be in a superhero movie," and then they end up being in superhero movies. So funny how things turn around, because they're just stories, they just happen to have some superpowers and things like that. It's fine, it's okay. But yeah, there's my perspective, your perspective in life just changes so much as you get older and have kids and deal with real life stuff, and the perspective you have on the world around you and stuff like that just changes so much, especially after you have kids. A lot of things aren't important to you anymore after you're raising children. You got to get rid of those negative friends in your life. You got to, Would you do the same? Now that you are older, would you do the same thing? I would not be mean to young people. I would not yell at them. I might, discipline. You can discipline someone and be stern, but you don't have to be mean. And I don't think sometimes people don't realize that that's how they were. And also, they were, Rob was very young then too. Boy, what's that line of that song? If I only knew what I knew now, when I was so much younger or whatever. you know, but I think we're all aligned in our love for the comics medium and how powerful it is. And love to see Marvel do better. I'd love to see the comic companies do a lot better. I got a lot of opinions, and I keep them to myself. I don't want to be I'm not against anything really with the comic books, but I'd really love to see a lot of change in the comic industry, and I'll do my part from where I sit. I think bringing Gary into the comic book world will be very big. We're already seeing it and feeling it. Other people don't know still. That's okay. It's just kind of fun. It's kind of fun that they don't know. I had some retailer friends who I was trying to tell, I work for VeeFriends, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, comics at VeeFriends. And they're like, they didn't know what I was talking about. And I'm like, it's okay. And then finally, after New York Comic Con, they were like, oh, that's VeeFriends? That's what you're doing? And I'm like, yeah, try to tell you. But, you'll see. You'll see. Things take time. We're early. Okay, hey, it's 8:38. I've been working on this thing. Can't tell you what this is, but you'll see it in the future. I made the sweet swan more or less like a duck and more like a swan. I'm happy with that. I gotta go. Got some other stuff to do today, so I appreciate you watching. I've been live 4 days a row now. I might as well make it 5. So I'll probably see you back here tomorrow at 8 a.m. Matthew Cunningham said, should I grade my... Any other questions? Throw them in here quick. VeeFriends questions, whatever. Let's go. Matthew Cunningham says, should I grade my Cracked Ice Ninja? I would say yes. Because it's just, from a brand point of view, we're new. That's rare. These are the first times we put out comic books. That's a 1 of 99 or something like that. 1 of 199. I don't know. And it's beautiful. So I would grade it. I would seal that up. Keep my comic sealed. Totally up to you. That's a bad answer, but I would say crack it. Rip it. You never know what's in there. By the way, I don't think I've seen any sketch covers. I did 4 for... No, I don't know. I forget what the breakdown was, but I've not seen any of the sketch covers from 5, 6, and 7. I think I might have seen... Yeah, haven't seen those sketch covers out there. They're out there. They feel the same in the bag, and they weigh the same, so... If you're feeling it, not knowing what you're getting, that's the whole fun of it. What are you going to lose? If you open it up, it's still worth what you paid and whatever. And if you get a base, they're still beautiful. And, cool. Awesome. I will see you guys real soon. Read the comics online again. You know the deal. The comic books are on the website. VeeFriends.com. VeeFriends.com. You can read, watch, and collect VeeFriends. Bookmark. This is the last ask for you. Bookmark the upcoming comic book number 5 premiere in 7 days. The animation is done. We're going to premiere it. It's really cool. And I would hope that you would subscribe, hit notify, so that we can see these, how many people are waiting for this stream. I'd like to get that up and build this YouTube channel up a little bit. So I hope to see you there live on that premiere in the chat. That's it.